Good morning. Hope you're all doing well, or evening, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. We are going to look at yesterday's challenge, and we're going to have a look at a cool animation that somebody submitted last night too. Okay, let's switch over to Flow and have a look at what we did yesterday. All right. So this is we did two things. We animated from a circle to a square, just like that. Okay, let me slow that down a little bit. Shift, click, click, half speed. Okay, so we're going, and then I'll just drag it. So we're going from a circle to a square. And again, you remember we talked about, we're always talking about perception, right? It looks like we're going from a circle to a square. But what are we actually doing? We're just going from a square to a square, okay? So this animation was just the corner radius animation for each one of the points on our square, right? So we are going from what looks like a circle to a square, but we're not actually doing that. And the second animation was a triangle to a square, okay? Just like that. And the trick here was, so if you look at the path, you double click into it, there it looks like 1, 2, 3 points for a triangle, obviously, because a triangle has 3 points. Welcome to our Flowcast, where we learn about all things. But really what that is that's 2 points overlapping one another. Okay, you see that? And right here you can see them overlapping. So it looks like you're animating from a square to a square. Or sorry, it looks like you're animating from a triangle to a square, but really you're kind of just animating from a square to a square as well. So if we start thinking that way, it's like, well, how do we then animate from a circle to a square to a triangle? Well, since you're just animating from a square to a square and a square to a square, it's actually pretty easy. Okay, so let's start with the first step. The first step is to animate from the circle to the triangle. Okay, and then we'll tack on the square afterwards. Okay, so let's go circle to square. And remember that the circle goes to a square, etc., to a triangle, blah, blah. That was absolutely the worst description I could have possibly given. I'm just going to do this from scratch just to show you again how we do it. We're going to click on this little lock icon. We are going to change the scene size to 400 by 400. Relative mode is on. We are clicking on the background color. We are doing that, and now we are clicking here and we are dropping a rectangle into the scene. We are going to click the lock for the size of the rectangle. We are going to make it 240 by 240 or 280. 280 is good. And let's make that stroke width 32 today. All right, now let's grab that fill color and get rid of it. 0%. If you want to know why, we have another Flowcast on that, kicking around somewhere. And let's turn off relative mode. Well, let's turn off relative mode here. And let's do this. Let's say that this is circle to triangle, just like that. Now, let's make this the circle. Select it all. And since it's 280 today we're going to make this corner radius 140. Right? Just like that. Okay. R. There we go. Circle to square. And remember when I just introduced the, so remember when I just showed the triangle to square animation yesterday, it was just a square to a square with the 2 points overlapping. All we're going to do here is we're going to modify that square into a triangle now. So let's take both of these and make them have the X position of 200, which should be right in the middle of the scene. So now, oops, let's do this. Turn relative mode off, and then type 200 and hit enter again. And now we have a path animation, just like that. See? Oh, and there's this little snap at the end, just because it's going from a rounded, sort of this like rounded corner here. To get rid of that little snap at the end, let's just turn relative mode on, and then let's just make those line caps nice and round for all of those. And we're going to do, sorry, it's the line joins that we want to have nice and round, not the caps. Maybe we can leave the cap on anyways. Doesn't matter. It's closed. There we go. And even at the end, it's not going to snap. Looks great, huh? Pretty easy. So when you are animating from a circle to a triangle, what you're really doing, okay? What you're really doing is you're animating from a square to a square. And then it's just the aesthetic of where the points of that square are and what the roundedness of its corners is going to be that give you that aesthetic, that visual aesthetic of going from a circle to a triangle. So let's have a look again. And I'm just going to drag slowly. So here we go. So look at that. It looks like, here it looks like the top point isn't even moving. Okay. Top point's not even moving. Okay. Top point's not even moving. You're coming in and it's just turning into a single point. Okay. It actually looks like it's anchored at the top here because you can see down here in the left and in the right, let me just go capture mouse cursor. There we go. Now you can see my mouse. Sorry, that's a software that I've been using. Sometimes you have to click the capture mouse cursor on and off, but it hasn't been fixed yet. Okay, anyways, digressing, Travis. Look, so it looks like it's anchored at the top here. And these 2 points down here, they move outwards. Okay. And then let's like animate all the way to the end. And you know what? There's a little tell. Okay, there's a tiny little tell. There's a tiny little tell. And it shows you that this isn't just this pure, the top of the circle is anchored and turning into a triangle. Okay. And it's right up here at the top. It's right up here at the top. And you see how there's two corners right here of this animation, right? If it was a circle, okay, if it was a circle, it would be like a circle all the way in. Just, it would be one thing. So this is just a tiny little visual tell. But when it's playing fast enough, nobody's ever going to notice. Sorry, I'm looking at the app and not you. So when this thing is playing at full speed, nobody's ever going to see that. Well, you might now that you see it, okay? But it does this transformation. It's pretty nice. And we get ourselves from a circle to a triangle. Really, we get ourselves from a rectangle to a rectangle or a square to a square. Okay, so now let's add the next bit, which is the square part. And this is actually pretty easy. We're going to expand our timeline to 2. And we're going to hit the expand button. We're going to move our playhead all the way over here. And we are now going to take this point, not both of them, just one of them, double click, grab one of them, and just command snap it into place. And command snap it into place, just like that. So now we have circle to triangle to square, circle to triangle to square. And we have this ugly little snap. So we're going to actually do one more of these expands. We're going to go, actually we can just do, we're going to option drag the very first key value, okay, over to here, over to 2.1. It doesn't matter which time you set it to, because in the end we're going to just select it and we're going to go up into the corner. We're going to say it's at 3, and that's going to expand our timeline out to 3 seconds automatically. And now we have circle, square, sorry, circle, triangle, square, circle, triangle, square. And that's how we create that looping animation, okay? So we have 3 different shapes that we're going through: a circle to a triangle to a square. And one of them, if you think about it in the literal sense, okay, if you think about it in the literal sense, the points are misaligned and they're different types on a circle. The triangle only has 3 points, and then the square has its 4 points in totally different spots, and often it will have the straight corners on it, or the straight points. So literally animating from a triangle, from a circle to a triangle to a square is going to be hard. But again, perception. What are we actually doing? There's one shape, and all we're looking for is the aesthetic of it going between these different things. And so the solution that we have here is we're just using one kind of shape. We're using a square, and we're able to manipulate that path to look like a circle and to look like a triangle. And that's the whole trick here. Okay, so that's today's cast. Those are the answers. If you can think of another way of doing this, feel free to send it my way and I'll show everybody. But now I want to say, which is really cool, is Aid submitted an animation to us, and let's have a look at it. It's really cool. So here is his watch face animation, and let's just hit play. Let's hit play. So this one is a 10-second animation, and it animates between 1, 2, 3, 4 different states, something like that. All right, it's really cool. And so he said that he got inspired by this like path morphing and editing paths, and he came up with this idea. Super cool, Aid. Thanks for submitting that. It's really awesome to see when people have made stuff and what you guys are all creating. So if you guys have, if anybody who's watching this has made anything and you're just like, you just want to show it, please send it to us and we will get it up on here. And it's really nice. So what he's done, we can just do a little bit of a breakdown, which is really cool, is everything here is a solid shape. All right. Again, when you're working with shapes or you're working with letters and you're doing these kind of like morphing things on it, it is always best, in my opinion, to outline them as shapes, because you're going to get this nice ability to, you're going to get far more control over your animations. And you know, this is a concept. It is a cool concept for a watch, but even if this was a real watch and I was actually animating this, I would still use shapes in place of text, because there's all this distortion on it and all that kind of stuff, and it's just easier to use shapes and animate those than it is to figure out how to do the distortion and all that kind of stuff on a piece of text. So this is actually a really solid approach. So all the shapes are outlined, and another nice thing about the animation is you could probably bring in some sort of like outlined vector graphic version of the watch, but you don't need it, right? You don't need it. So here we have just a picture. Easy, right? Right down here you can see this is the picture right here. Yeah, it actually has some sort of funky name going on there. I'm not sure what happened with that, but it's really cool. And then the animations are just basically all the same. Just animating. It looks like the way that you animated it was just to like go to a certain spot and then stretch something, go to the next spot, stretch it, go to the next spot, stretch it back into place, that kind of thing as well. All right, really nicely done. Looking forward to, nicely done. Really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. And yeah, again, Aid, thanks. And we will, yeah, we'll post anything that anybody shows. Thanks a lot. Oh, before I forget, tomorrow, I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Today's number 30. Okay, that's great. So 30 of these in a row so far. There's lots of content for you to go back and look at if you are just catching up on today's cast. And I'll figure it out. I'll figure out something tomorrow. Probably something else to do with paths. Yeah, probably something else to do with paths, but I don't even know quite yet. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.